Midway USA brand product designers have one straightforward goal: develop high-quality, technically sound products and deliver them to customers at reasonable prices. If you are immersed in the shooting sports industry and pay close attention to every single detail, you know our products are built right and stand up to everyday use. Who has shooting mats and range bag systems to hunting clothing and just about everything for the outdoors? Log on and shop 24/7 with super fast shipping. MidwayUSA.com. For almost 50 years, Midway USA has been America's go-to source for just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Go to MidwayUSA.com to see our latest deals and promotions and take advantage of our super fast same-day shipping. If you need a cooler, a new fishing rod, another rifle, ammo, or a reloading press, you can find it all at MidwayUSA.com. Thanks for your business.
Just be sitting up there jacked with Pepsi.
I'm there for the pack out. You just got to pack me in.
Committed to the bow early on. Like, I love getting close and putting up.
You cover a range of stuff on here too, right? Like,
We call this the THP World Headquarters.
You know, my grandpa Roy Weatherby.
I came into like that golden little pocket where there was like 4 or 5 different bowls. Just
You're Canadian? We're doing a Canadian podcast?
my name's Douglas Bode.
I'm Robbie Denning.
Roy Candy.
Yeah, that's one. We'll just run that as a podcast. We'll get that one going here. Let me I guess what were we talking about? Oh yeah, well, Pete's email is about just as long and his is just his name, so
Yeah.
it's not too bad.
At least once you get it once, it should automatically autofill too. So
I feel like the odd one out here. I don't have the fancy mic or the headphones going on.
Well,
right.
it's an acquired. It's you have to acquire it. It took Pete a while. It took Pete about a few episodes too to get dialed in.
yeah.
He's on his boat. What episode are you on now? When did you join? When did you hop on?
Fuck, 60 something, mid 60, somewhere in there. Been a bit.
Wow.
It seems a lot longer than it's actually been.
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like a marriage. Just always
Oh,
seems
fuck.
way longer than it's.
No matter what you do, you just can't get rid of the other one.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, what's going on, buddy? What's going on in Alberta? Snow out there. Winter must be full swing now. No.
Well, not where I am. There's no snow. We kind of had a little bit of a snap there for about a week, and now it's all gone. It's unseasonably hot. Like we're dealing right now with like 10-degree weather, 6 to 10-degree weather midday.
Jeez.
Oh shit.
It's weird. It's weird, especially talking whitetails. It's weird. Like you don't really. This isn't something you usually deal with. Not now, anyway.
Yeah, it's it's crazy warm. Like not like down like in the city area where I am, it's not crazy warm, but like in general, like especially in the bush, man, there's just like there's no snow. It's nice and warm. It feels like it should be October.
Yeah. No, it's weird. I'm getting geared up tomorrow. I'm gonna go do a sit with my daughter. It'll be her first time out,
Nice.
and I guess it's gonna be awesome because it's gonna be warm, be comfy for her. But I've got the heater in the blind, and not even sure if we're gonna need to turn it on.
That's a good setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when
What
you got
kind of
going
heater
for the
do you
first
have? Like
time.
one of those little propane?
I have one
ones
of those bigger buddy heaters.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So I use it for ice fishing mostly. This will actually, I don't usually hunt in a blind. I'm just kind of doing it to accommodate my daughter. So she'll be 4 in January, so she's still pretty young. But it heats up an ice fishing tent pretty quickly. So we could be sitting in there in t-shirts probably.
Yeah, Pete dabbles in the ice fishing too, and I'm going to start.
Oh, are you going to do it?
Well, no, I'm not going to go ice fishing, dude.
Oh, come on.
No fucking way. Come on. The other guest we had on too, Steve Rogers, he's a big ice fisherman too. So, but you didn't make that one. You're looking for a moose. But I was going to say, you know what? I'm going to start rubbing some shit into you here, because I remember during the archery shoot, you had no problem rubbing shit into my face, and I said, you know what? We'll just see who does the talking in September once we both start punching tags. So
let's get it over with. Get it over with.
But Jordan, why don't we get started? Just shoot yourself a quick introduction here and just let the listeners know who we're talking with.
Well, I'm just, I guess I'm Jordan. I'm a guy from Alberta, Southern Alberta. I like archery. I like bow hunting. I like everything outdoors. I guess what else do you throw into an introduction? I'm a dad of 2. I'm hyper obsessive.
Yeah, that's what we hear. You and I made an introduction through Kyle, and he said, he said when it comes to arrows and archery, you're the man to talk to. And you had a pretty good year. You just looking through your Instagram there, you got what was it? The Alberta. Refresh my memory here. I might have to look again, but it was the Alberta
Archer of the Year.
Yeah, Archer of the Year.
Oh, yeah. So in the bow hunter class in the ASA, so the ASA is a tour of outdoor 3D shoots. I've kind of, I did take first place in everything that I attended. So it was, I believe, 4 out of the 5 shoots they put on in Alberta. And with that, I was lucky enough to get the Shooter of the Year.
Oh, deadly. You hear
Very
that,
nice.
Pete?
Yeah.
Competition.
Yeah. Pete plays second in the Canadian Nationals, so he's not doing too bad
This
himself.
year in Calgary?
Cranbrook.
Oh, in Cranbrook, right on. Yeah.
It was the outdoor 3D.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I took first at that Canadian indoor too in the winter there.
Oh,
sweet.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So is the majority of the stuff you do, is it indoor, or do you do a lot of outdoor as well?
I do mostly outdoor. Okay, I can't say that. Over the years, I've been doing mostly outdoor. Truthfully, this 3D thing is fairly new to me the past few years. But I kind of got into it and I started doing okay, and then I decided to take it pretty seriously. So I've got into it pretty heavy over the past 2-3 years. COVID kind of messed up the groove a little bit there, but yeah, no, I've been really liking it. So, and I'll do mostly, it's not, I guess, overly competitive like the ASA can be in the wintertime in the indoor stuff, but I do dabble into that. And this year I started doing at the Archery World here in Calgary. They have a 3D league night every Wednesday. So I've been doing that as well.
Yeah, that's
how is that new place in Calgary there? I've been hearing all about it.
I may be a little bit biased, but I don't know. I think it's pretty awesome. It's an awesome range, awesome staff. They got a ton of bows. They're working on their inventory. It's kind of a work in progress. They're starting out. It's a big leap to start out, especially with a facility that big. So they're really working on I guess setting it up right and doing it right. I know some particular bow shops in Canada can have a bad rap, and they're trying to avoid that entirely.
That's good. Whereabouts
Especially
in Calgary is it? Like in the south or in the north? I'd like to check it out next time I'm in Calgary.
It's in the north. So if you're on Deerfoot and you take 32nd, it would be on the, I hope I'm not messing this, it'd be on the east side.
Okay.
There. Yeah, it's 12 minutes from my house, actually. It's very convenient.
Very nice.
Those are the best
yeah.
ones.
Yeah, exactly. And
they're
it's
good,
40
but they're not good. It all depends how you want to look at it. If it's too close and convenient, it's like, well, I'll just pop in there.
Yeah. It's a problem.
Drop $200.
Yeah.
Quick 200. Yeah. I'm just going to stop in there for a quick 200. It's like almost like a gambling addiction. I'm just going to pop in.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
So when did you get into shooting?
I started hunting. I guess it all started I don't know how it started with predator hunting, but I was just curious one day and I wanted to go try my hand at coyotes. So I hunted coyotes for 2 years. And then I thought, hey, maybe I should go hunt a deer. So I got skunked on that on my first ever year hunting. I think that was about 10 or 12 years ago. I think, yeah, about that time. And the very next year after hunting rifle for deer, I went, why am I only hunting 1 month when I could hunt 3? So I went and I bought a bow. And from there, I just kind of, it was extremely frustrating for a lot of years until I kind of figured it out. So
Yeah, it definitely is that for sure.
yeah,
100%. I know here in BC we got a little more liberal rifle season than you guys do in Alberta. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, our archery season's only 9 days, pretty much. So
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
rifle September 10th to November 30th.
Holy moly.
And then each species has their own like cutoff day. But yeah, rifles are good to go during those times.
I feel very fortunate in living in southern Alberta and hunting mostly the southern half of Alberta. Like we get 2 months rifle free, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, I definitely like to. We've talked about it before on the show lots. I definitely like to see maybe a little longer archery season and less long of a rifle season.
Well, 9 days, that's pretty short.
And hot 9 days too. Like Kevin's usually hotter than where I am. Like I'm down in Invermere area, so go through Banff, kind of the same elevation as you really. And there's lots of times it's 28, 30 degrees on the 1st to the 9th still. And Kevin's even hotter. So
yeah, that's brutal.
We're in the mid 30s, mid to late 30s that time of the year still. But I mean you get mid 30s through most of September down in the dry stuff down in the desert area. So, but there's big critters getting shot down there. I know of a few over 400s that got killed down towards the border. So,
oh yeah. Yeah, they live there, especially with the parks.
Yeah, for sure. So you had a good year, killing some big shit.
Yeah, it's been the dream season for sure.
No doubt.
Yeah. So it's been awesome.
Go ahead.
Started out with the mule deer hunt. Took a week off, and we this year actually was a struggle finding good deer. We really, really fought to find the good deer, but it took almost a week with scouting and hunting to find a good deer. And finally, when we got on him, we just couldn't make it happen. And it came so close. And then went back out for kind of a second go at it. And we accidentally bumped this deer trying to find another good deer, the one that I shot, and got on him. And first stalk, we snuck in 55 yards on him. And I was with my buddy and we snuck over the hill. He ranged him at 55. I heard 45.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I shot and just nicked the hair off of the back of his leg. All heartbreak happened. I was so upset with myself. And it was just, it was a gimme shot, and the deer goes bounding over the hill. Next day, we find ourselves in a very interesting situation. It's almost like everything. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, when it seems like in a weird chain of events will happen, ABC 1, 2, 3, as if everything is meant to be that exact way. The next day we went, it was so foggy we couldn't see 400 yards. I don't even think we could see 200 yards, and we could not find a single deer in this coulee system where we had a shot at him the day before. So we started shooting gophers. We were up there shooting gophers at 50, 60 yards with our bows. We nailed, I don't know, probably 40 or 50 of them. And then we went, hey, the fog lifted. Maybe we should go look for this deer. And we go and we drive over to a different area where we thought he probably went. And we sat in the truck for the next hour just talking. And then we went, we should probably go look for this deer. Sure thing. We just walk over the hill. and he just happens to be feeding at the bottom of the coulee for about, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, just long enough to identify him. And then he goes and beds in the absolute most primo spot you can imagine.
That was it. So when you missed that first shot, did right away, were you like, did you just assume you missed, or did you know that you guys got the ranges mixed up?
Well, you know the sound when you hit a deer, right?
Oh yeah.
And you know this. I don't know about you guys, but I know the sound pretty well of when I miss. And this was a total right into the grass, and I knew because I was up high, kind of at the top edge of a coulee, shooting down on him, and it just, as soon as I let it go, I knew it was a good shot. And like I said, it nicked the back of his leg, below his chest there. And it just, I don't know. I knew instantaneously as soon as I didn't hear it hit him, and the deer just kind of stood there and looked stupid for a second, and then went over the hill. But my buddy, he said, "What did you do?" And I was like, I don't know how I missed. And he said, "What did you shoot him for?" And I said, 45. You said 45. He said, "No, I said 55. And I went, "Oh no." And then I started beating my head into the grass because I was so upset with myself. This is a deer of a lifetime in my books, right?
Okay, so I know that feeling.
Oh,
that's the one I know.
Yeah, it's brutal, man. It's brutal. But I don't know. It's kind of things like that when it finally works out, the struggle, it makes it a lot sweeter in the end, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. When you go through a little suffering, it's always sweeter in the end.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
That shot, the sound you talked about, you shoot fixed or mechanicals?
Okay, so I've been a diehard fixed blade fan for a lot of years. I shoot a lot of energy. My bow is, I got a Matthews right now. I got a Matthews V3X 33. It's wound up to like 82 pounds. I'm shooting a 500 grain arrow at like mid 290s. So it's a lot of energy. I thought this year I'm going to try the Severs. And then I started looking into more broadheads, and I did try the Severs. I didn't try them long enough to shoot anything with them, but I did try them. And then I was looking into Grim Reapers, and I actually phoned down to the bow rack in Oregon. I started talking to Wayne Endicott there, and he's all about the Grim Reaper carnivores. They are a 4-blade broadhead. I think it's like a 1 1/8 by 1 1/4 cut. I might be butchering this. I'm not too sure, but it's a big 4-blade head.
Yeah.
And I wanted to put one through a mule deer. I wanted to see what they were going to do in comparison to I usually like a 4-blade 1-inch broadhead, fixed blade. That's kind of what my go-to has been over the years. That's just worked well for me, but I wanted to see if I can put the absolute biggest hole in a deer and see what it would do. So I shot that mule deer with the carnivore, and I actually shot my bull this year too with a carnivore. And man, I'll tell you what, I'm going to be shooting them next year.
Yeah. So I shot the Grim Reapers. We talked about it. Pete and I have been talking about this. I guess since about this time last year. AP.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, maybe a little later.
I think it was in December when you had your whitetail thing happen there.
Yeah, so I was shooting those Grim Reapers, and like those things, they kill shit, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I've shot. So this year I've been running them. I've killed 2 elk, a mule deer and a buffalo, and I've had pass-throughs on all of them. I mean, with the exception of that bison in the first shot, it got hung up, stuck halfway through, but the second one at 40 yards was a pass-through. Damage. I'm shooting the 3 blades. Last year I was hunting whitetails, and it was cold. It was minus 25 between minus 25 and minus 30. You know, in the truck when I left, it said it was minus 25.
Ooh,
Up where I
cool.
was, it was probably closer to minus 30. And what happened was the broadhead didn't open. It froze. So like,
really?
yeah. So you know the sound when you hit a deer. We talk about that sound, and like I knew right away I hit that deer because if I missed, it wouldn't have made any sound. It would just landed in the snow.
Yeah.
But when you shoot a deer enough with a bow, especially a mechanical, you know that sound. It's a very distinctive sound.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, I ended up I had a little bit of blood. I bumped it. Went back to the truck, waited a little bit. It was already dark by then. Bumped it again, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to come back in the morning because I'm just gonna keep pushing it, right? Figured he would have died overnight, and it, you know, I could pretty much guarantee he did, but it also snowed over an inch, and I lost the blood trail.
Oh, that's brutal.
That's what I wanted to talk about a little bit today. Is we'll get into some whitetail hunting, but just broadheads and arrow setups and stuff. So like this year, like I said, I've been running, you know, those Grim Reapers, and they've just been killing shit. Like they're deadly. The nice thing about a mechanical is it's just accurate. You know what I mean? It's all about shot placement, right? And they cut. Yeah, and they just cut shit. Like Pete, when we were talking, what was that, last week or the week before? It was a late night, and I said I had something I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
So I had a bit of a rib cage left over from my mule deer, and the kids keep asking me. They wanted to see what it looks like when an arrow hits an animal, right? Because I showed them picture, and I got a picture I'll show both you guys, and like you can see the damage, like the cut that Grim Reaper did. So we set it up, and I was shooting Montex. I was shooting those sharpshooters. I was shooting those 4-bladed. What the heck are they called? Oh, I can't remember the. Yeah, I think they were the Wasp, the floor fixed blade four-bladed fixed. I'm pretty sure they were the Wasp. And then I was shooting Rage. I had the Grim Reapers I was shooting, and I was also shooting. I think it was Slick Trick, another one. Anyway, I was shooting at the rib cage in different spots just to see what kind of, you know, what the fixed blade was doing compared to the mechanical. And like I was hitting rib with those fixed blades, but like they would hit the rib, cut the rib a little bit, but they'd also push through the rib. Do you know what I mean? They wouldn't snap their rib. Like the biggest cut penetration I got was on the Rage. It destroyed those ribs, like basically just cut the ribs right in half. And it had like a massive cut penetration on it. This year I'm going to go back for whitetails. I'm going to go back to fixed blade, just because I don't want to end up in the same situation I was last year. So I shoot PSC, and I got the Omen and the Fortis, and they're very similar bows. So I'm setting up the PSC Omen. It's thrown a major. I haven't thrown shot any arrows through the chrono yet to see what kind of arrow speeds I'm getting with a heavier arrow setup, because I'm going to be shooting 150 grains, 200 grains up front with those Victory stainless steel arrow shafts. So they're over 500. I figured it's going to be coming in at about 526 roughly. I have to do it all. Once I get it all dialed in, I'll weigh them and everything and figure it all out. But it's definitely a lot more daunting process. Like just like when I'm shooting those fixed blades, it's like, man, I could just screw a field tip in, set my bow, and like I know it's going to be good with a mechanical. But like I don't know about you, Jordan, but I can it is so much work to get a broadhead shooting good every time. Like I can get, like, I number my arrows, shoot them, like go back to 60 yards, and it's hitting, that number one arrow is hitting probably with a fixed blade, probably like a 3 or 4 inch grouping on it. But it's never, you know what I mean? Like it's never the same. And every once in a while you get a little like, what the fuck was that? Like, why is that going over there?
It just planes off.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your process for just like I'm assuming you probably get like I don't know you a great deal, but I know Kyle quite well, and I know he's talked about you and just like how detailed you are with your process. So I'd love to hear about like your process for setting up fixed blades versus mechanical, and just like how into detail and I guess nerdy you get on it.
Well, how much time do you guys got? Because like you just opened up a big can of worms here.
Oh, I knew I was going to. That's why we wanted to get you on the show here, especially for whitetail season, because I feel like for myself anyway, and I kind of feel like there's a lot of guys they kind of have the same feelings. And I know my brother, he lives in Alberta too, and he's had some failures with mechanical as well. And it's kind of one of those situations where like Pete said it before, he's like, you could use that broadhead 1,000 times and it'll work every time. It just happens that it was that once, and it just, there's
they
a
work
lot
until they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So my belief here, I'm just going to throw this out at the beginning, and there's going to be people who have their heads explode right now.
Awesome.
I'm 100%. I'm 100% a firm believer, 1,000% a firm believer that if a fixed blade broadhead, let's say they all weigh the same, you could take 100 of them. If they spin good and your bow is perfectly tuned, at 60 yards, they will share the same hole. Every one of them. Every single one.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why, so what we're trying to do here when we're broadhead tuning for fixed blades is, thing number one, here's where I start with my process. First things first, we need to make sure our arrow is spined 100% correctly. If anything, you want it tight, slightly stiff. You cannot have it even slightly weak. Otherwise, you're going to have inconsistencies. Now, you can have inconsistencies from arrow to arrow as well. If you are kind of riding that kind of weak edge there, you might have one arrow that's a little stiffer, or you have a stiff side oriented one way or another, and that can cause inconsistencies as well. Every single arrow also has a stiff side. That kind of comes into knock tuning as well, but we can talk about that in a bit. First things first, when we build a bow and we set up a bow, we need to make sure that arrow is leaving the bow 100% as straight as possible. How I like to do this is I like to paper tune. You don't have to use a barrel shaft, but I do like a barrel shaft. 7 yards from the paper. You want to stand 7 yards back from the paper, and you want to paper tune. Most bows these days, you can set your center shot and then use the cams as like a gang adjustment to get to fix that tear. But once you get within that point where your adjustment is too much left or right, now you have to use your rest, and you shouldn't be moving your rest more than about a 1/16 of an inch in either direction of your center shot, which is 13/16 from the inside of your riser on most bows.
Yeah, and they make that's the beauty thing about these new bows, especially now, is they make it so easy to shim your cams left and right. Like that new Fortis I got, oh my god, like even compared to the Omen, like to shim it at all, I have to pull the axles out every time still on that Omen because it's the older Omen. But like with that new Fortis, it's just clips. It's just shim clips. Like it's just like, and like we were playing with that. You shoot the Matthews, but I was playing with that deadlock system that Bowtech has. Oh my god, that's even easier there. Like, yeah, it's like I had a guy over and we were shooting that paper, and it was just like, it was just like 2 Allen keys. It was like loosen, tighten, or loosen, turn, tighten. It was like, oh my god, is this ever a great system?
And when you remember with that system, okay, my broadhead's hitting left of my field point, so I crank it this way, or it's hitting right, I crank it this way. It makes it so easy.
Yeah, for sure.
Easy.
So when we're talking, so like inconsistencies is a thing that kills me. So like inconsistency, so like I weigh all the broadheads and they're all a little different, which drives me fucking bonkers. Like every single one weighs a little different. And I have a scale. My wife has this scale for making candles, and this thing is like, you could drop a pubic hair on it and it would tell you how much it weighs. Like it's that, you know what I mean? It's that sensitive. So, but like weighing my broadheads, like when I start pulling those arrows out, and I wanted to get my bow set up for the fixed blades. I'm weighing all my broadheads and they're all kind of different weights, and I'm just like, oh my God, like little help here. So I'm pulling the ones out that are the closest, and I'm marking them 1, 2, 3, and then putting them on the arrows and like just seeing. But yeah, like definitely knock tuning and like, so like you start with a bare shaft arrow, I'm assuming. Like, let's just tell me about like when you make your own arrows, obviously. Let's talk a little bit about like how the process you go through for making your arrows.
Okay, well, first of all, I find I kind of give myself, so I like my bow to be between mid 280s and mid 290s as far as speed. First of all, let's say I'm starting with a brand new bow and I buy a bow, I try different weights at my draw length and at my draw weight to see what gets me those speeds I want. Now here's where I nerd out about it is I have a software on my phone. I don't think you can get anymore, that you can put in a bunch of information. Now you can use Archer's Advantage. It's pretty good, but there's one I like. It's called On Target 2 or Q Spine. It's kind of carries both names. But from there you can, well, what I do is I like my arrows. Now I don't dive into the FOC things so much, but I do know that I like between 15 and 17%. For me, that's where I've had the best luck with accuracy in general, but especially with fixed blade broadheads. Anything over that, I can't speak to. Anything under that, it just hasn't flown right for me, or been near as consistent.
Now, are you running the same thing? Sorry. Are you running the same thing? So you say you're running 82-pound bow, which is like, so for that V3X, what do they come at? 75 pounds. So you crank that sucker up.
I haven't needed to, truthfully.
Oh, it came like 82 pounds is what it came. Oh, wow.
I had a VXR 2 years before that. And at 75 pounds, it, like with the mods on there, as soon as I put it in spec, that VXR was about 79. This V3X is 82.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive. So are you measuring like as you shoot and as your strings start to wear in and all that stuff, like are you measuring your speed and the poundage of your bow as you go, just to make sure that the arrow setup you're building is going to be what you built to spec for it when you did it?
Well, so as I shoot, I can kind of notice when I get to a point where my bow just is performing a little bit different. Things don't start to hit where they need to. Now I use really good high quality strings, so I do believe that regardless, every single string set is going to have a stretching period, but I kind of think it sort of stops for the most part. But let's say it's August or July or August and I set up my bow and I'm getting it tuned. It'll be about a week and a half to 2 weeks before hunting season that I do a triple check and everything is getting put back into spec for performance reasons again, right? Because I'm sighting in, especially, you know, you're going to see this more with sight tapes when you start shooting past 60 yards. I think 60 yards and under, you're not going to see much as far as like performance in I guess your arrow speed and the drop out to 60 yards. But anything past that, especially when you get out to 100 yards, and maybe even further, you're going to start noticing that. And that's something that's really important to me is knowing that I'm dialed. I like to be dialed out to 130 yards and know exactly, like, my elevations are going to be perfect, because I don't know when I'm going to need that secondary shot at distance. And I have to know that it's going to hit that animal if I have to take that shot.
Yeah, that's for sure enough. Yeah.
So
So anyway, so back to your arrows. So when you get arrows, so what spline are you shooting? Like a 250?
I shoot 250s. Yeah, because I'm a 30-inch draw.
Okay, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well,
your
I'm 30
arrows,
and a half actually. It's 30 on a Matthews, but Matthews runs half-inch long.
yeah, I find that too. It's like I'm like at that with the PSC. It's like I'm almost like 28 3/4 draw would be like if I could just get a little 1/4 inch, it'd just be perfect.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if they
Set
do
it
that
at
for me,
28 and a half. Twist up your cables a little bit.
Yeah, I do. I do that. So anyway, so you're shooting a fairly stiff arrow. What kind of and you mentioned like what are you shooting up front? 100 grain, 125,
grains.
75 grains up front.
75 grains with a 100 grain broadhead.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, so 175. Yeah, and so on the back end, you running you run 4-fletch?
I am 100% total lover and believer of 4-fletch. I don't see myself ever shooting anything else because now I've talked to guys like Chris Perkins about this and they don't seem to be able to shoot the difference, so they say, but I firmly believe with fixed blade broadheads, especially.
Oh yeah, definitely fixed. Yeah.
Yeah. 4-fletch is the way to go, man. I'm shooting those top driver 2.75s in a 4-fletch. Love it. And I don't know when I'm going to change or if I'll ever change, but
I just feel like when you're running, well, I mean, just for everything, especially when you're whitetail landing, like they're a lot quieter too, compared to like, like the 3 blazer vanes. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like the 3 blazer vanes worked for fucking ever. Right. And
they still do.
And they still kill shit. Yeah, exactly. But, I mean, when you can get that much more steering and just be a little bit quieter, it just, man, makes all the difference.
Mm-hmm. I started shooting solid blade broadheads to be quieter a few years ago.
Yeah.
Now they're way less forgiving, but they are quieter for sure.
Yeah. And so up to what yardage are you worried about forgiveness when you're shooting for like whitetail hunting?
See, I don't really bow hunt whitetail a whole lot, so I don't think about that stuff. Now, for me, whitetail's 40 yards and under.
Yeah. Because
anytime I've ever shot at a whitetail past 40 yards, its chest hits the snow and it's in Saskatchewan before the arrow gets there.
That's one true thing too with those whitetails, man. Fuck. Yeah. And I think I was listening to Levi Morgan talk about this, and he was talking about where he aims on a whitetail that's at like, 20 yards, that arrow's going so fast and it's such a big target at 20 yards. It really does. They don't really have time to react. But once you get to like 40, 50 yards, he aims like belly line or lower on those things.
Really?
That mentally, that's a struggle for me to think of doing.
Dude. It's like, and like even to just
what
like,
if it doesn't move?
Yeah, and you never know, right? I mean, I'm not going to argue with the guy, but I mean, like, you just never know. I mean, maybe he doesn't move, and it's like, oh man, like,
and then you're kicking yourself. That's so hard.
Yeah, it's heartbreak all over
tough.
Again.
It's tough to put your pin, and I practice this too. I practice just arrow flight, right? So I'll set my target up. I know my target's over there, and I'll just put like pallets or something up in front of my target, so I can't see the target, but I know where it is, and I know what I'm aiming at, just so I can get an idea of like what height I can get away with, for bushes and branches and stuff, and just to know my arrow path. But it's really odd putting your pin on something that you can't see, but you just have to trust and have faith that it's there.
I had to do that on a mule deer one day. It was weird.
Yeah, it is.
I drew back, and there was a branch hanging down between me and the deer, and the deer was at 40 yards, and I was in a coulee, and it was just a doe. I had a doe tag, but that branch was exactly halfway, and I just looked at full draw, and my 20 pin cleared it, so I thought I was good, but I had to aim into the bush kind of, or the branch to where I thought the deer was to shoot, and it worked out really good. I guess it was a good guess, but
definitely
for sure. To know your flight path.
Yeah, and even like just like punching through bush too to hit an animal is one of those things where you're always like, I find if the animal is up close enough to the bush, you could punch through that bush and you're still going to get it enough. It doesn't have enough time to deflect. Like if you got a bush obstructing your animal and he's too far back, obviously it's going to hit a branch and the chances of it deflecting are a lot higher. But if he's close enough to that bush still, you could punch through that bush, especially, if you're shooting like 75, 80 pounds, you can still punch through that bush and it won't have enough time to affect what deflection of your arrow is going to do to, you're still going to get a kill shot.
Did you see that video of me shooting my bull this year?
I did, yeah. And that's why I kind of brought it up, because I noticed you did the same thing as well. And I think Pete and I, we've talked about that too in the past, and just like, but that comes down to like knowing your gear and knowing what, knowing what it can do and just practicing that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, for sure. Especially on a quality bull like that. I mean, like that's one of those things where it's like, if you've done it before and it's going to work and it's going to kill it, then yeah, absolutely right. But if you haven't practiced it and you're not familiar with your equipment, then you literally could just sit there and stand there and wait for the wind to switch, and that bull's going to get up and run away. And that's it. When you could have easily had a kill shot. This year,
I've never seen an animal that tough, and what happened with it didn't make sense. When that bull, that was my third and final shot on that bull, hey? In that video.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
I double lunged him 3 times.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yeah,
3 times.
I've shot those suckers, put an arrow in there, put an arrow right through a lung, and those fuckers they'll run up a bit and bed down. And they'll just like nothing's ever happened. I mean, aside that, it's funny, like when I arrowed that buffalo, he took that first shot and he took it like a champ. He just looked at me and it was like, what? Like, that's it? Like, that's all you got? The arrow sticking halfway in him. And he's just like, he just looks over at me and he's like, like a fly just hit him. Like, just like, what the fuck? I was like, holy fucking. And instantly when that happened, I was just like questioning everything, right? Like my poundage, my arrow setup, my shot placement, like all this stuff floods through you, right? All these different motions, and like you're just like, what the fuck? How this, it's just you expect it to react a little differently than just like nothing, like getting shot with an arrow and just to be like, what?
Pussy.
Yeah, pussy.
I was so nervous. That's funny you say that. I was so nervous this year getting my wife to go out and hunt an elk with her bow, man, because she's shooting 45 pounds. A 355 grain arrow at like 230 feet a second.
Yeah. But it
shot
works.
placement, man. She nailed him, and he ran 60, 70 yards and piled up.
Yeah, and that's where it is.
That's where people get so into the FOC and all that kind of stuff. Sure, there's some stuff to it, but people got to remember there's a lot of people killing shit and big shit with every other configuration you can think of.
Yeah.
So just because you're locked in on this, it's not like it's the be all and end all, because people, like you just said, like that's totally opposite of, what most people are running for the most part.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah. And it worked really well. And she on the entry, she even punched square through the dead center of her rib too.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't take much. You think of like, well, I mean, even like you think of what, like I think of Wyatt's bow, and he's shooting about the same setup as that. It's still like you think what it does to a piece of wood, what that arrow does to a piece of wood. So I mean, flesh and bone, it's tough, but it's not that tough.
Yeah. And she killed him at 44 yards too.
Wow. That's good.
That was about the max. Like it was just a situation that happened. Why we talked before, and her max yardage was 40, but it was just a situation. He was perfect. We had a decoy. He was focused on the decoy, had no idea of our existence really. And yeah, she made a perfect shot. So
yeah, for sure. Let's circle back to arrows here. So we're pulling a bear shaft out of the box.
Yeah.
Let's just walk us through like what you're doing to get that arrow ready so you can shoot it.
Well, so with the spine calculator now, I like to, obviously I would have already pre-calculated the length I need to cut.
What type of arrows are you shooting? Are they pre-spine for you, or do you figure all that out by yourself?
Are they?
So you know how Victory, the spine to line, like do you buy them?
Oh yeah, no, I don't believe that, and I've debunked that one.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything, and that doesn't matter. What ultimately tells you what's going to fly is when you screw a broadhead onto it and start shooting it. I found that spinal line, it can work for some arrows. I'd say for 50% of the dozen, it's not going to work. And that could be just based on the fact that your bow is, or that arrow is reacting a certain way out of your bow, you know? Anyway.
Yeah. And you know, that can get back to tuning and all that stuff. Which, you know, I mean, you could build a perfect arrow for somebody, and if their bow's not tuned properly, then good fucking luck, right? Like,
yeah. And the other thing is, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, you know, and after that, then it comes down to the shooter, right? So,
yeah,
a lot of variables. But for yourself, we'll just focus, like, you're building this arrow just for the listeners' sake, to get an idea of like how meticulous you are and like what process you've learned worked the best for you.
Okay, so what I will do is I will spin every single arrow, and I will mark wobbly sides. If both sides are wobbly, I will mark both sides. If one side's wobbly, I'll mark one side. I'm cutting both sides of the arrow off, and I'm cutting the wobbly side off. I'm also running 1 thou straight arrows. I've found that they do fly better with fixed blades. Now, if you're a guy that has a 26-inch shaft or whatever, you can cut so much off of a 3 thou arrow that you're making it just as straight as me, or straighter than me, with a 1 thou arrow, right? Cutting with both ends because I got a longer arrow.
Yeah.
Now, I cut off both ends. I square both ends, and this is really, really important. People don't seem to square their arrows. It is extremely important. It is extremely overlooked. I square both ends, and the knock end is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Why it is so much? I believe it's more important than the contact arrow, or the other end where you screw your point into. The reason why is because if you think of a knock, it's plastic, right? You can flex it, you can bend it with your fingers. That's getting a lot of force on it, and if that's not seated perfectly on the back end of your shaft, and it flexes one way or another, that's going to cause inconsistencies.
Good point,
right?
Yeah.
At least I think so. It makes sense in my brain.
Hey, man. Yeah.
So both sides get squared. Then I take and I've got it's wax and grease remover. I'd have to look at the brand, but and I clean out both ends, and then I put my knock, or I leave my knock out. I put my inserts in, I glue my inserts, and I even clean off my inserts as well with this wax and grease remover. I got to have a clean Q-tip in every single arrow coming out of it. It can't even have a little bit of darkness on it. And then I will glue them, let them sit for 24 hours. Then I'll put my knock in. And then from there, I'll take probably 5 or 6 arrows, and I will, like I said, when I'm building my bow, to tune it, I will bare shaft tune, paper tune with a bare shaft at 7 yards from the paper. Right. That's like the perfect number. I feel like if you go 6 yards, it can work. 8 yards is like too much. You know what I mean? And I've for sure.
And we've had other guys on them. I think Greg, I'm not sure if you know who Greg Poole is. I mean, I always go for like 20, 21 feet. I always find. Yeah. And I think Greg, I can't remember what did Greg say. I think Greg said about the same, 7 yards.
He was around 7 yards too. And I've heard that from quite a few other places as well.
Yeah. And I don't know why that is, but I just, I mean, I started doing it just because that was the length of my garage. And then after talking to guys like yourself and Greg, and they're just like, 7 yards. And then it was like, okay, well, let's roll with that.
I think, I don't know what it is, but I feel like it gives you the most. It's almost like, I don't know. You know when a dirt biker goes up on over a jump and they kind of do the whip and then they end up coming back.
Yeah, it has time to correct itself.
That gyro thing. There's a point where it's going to go like your arrow. If it's coming out sideways, it's going to come out sideways and then it's going to start to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I almost feel like that 7 yards for any setup I've done, it's like almost at the farthest point.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it does. And because the thing is speed. Well, you think about it, I mean, speed is gonna, like, without the steering, if you're bare shaft tuning, without the vanes on it, which makes it a lot harder, is because it has zero steering, right? And so it's not going to correct itself. But trajectory is going to force that arrow. If it does come out a little bit, it's going to curve to a certain point. And obviously, if it's something's out of whack, or your hand torque and your bow, then it's going to react in a different way. But you got to think velocity is going to send, there's going to be a certain point where it's going to fly straight for a certain point just because of the speed.
Yeah.
Without any steering. With steering, I mean, that makes all the difference, right? You're going to, soon as those vanes start to spin, and you get into, so you shoot a right-handed bow. Do you shoot, your custom strings you make, do you get them spun a certain way to match your vanes? Like, do you have your vanes spun or offset left or right?
So my vanes, I'm shooting a left helical or left offset with a helical. The reason why is I have clocked my arrows on numerous setups. I don't clock them anymore. I just trust it. And every single time they're coming out spinning left. Now, as far
I've only had one bow. Sorry, I've only had one bow ever shoot where it spun right coming off the string, and that's just because that's how that string was spun for some reason. I don't know if the guy did it upside down who did it or whatever, but they've all shot. And I think we had who did we have on, Pete? And he talked about that, and he said it was like 98% of all bows.
That might have been Greg as well.
Yeah, it wasn't Greg.
It wasn't? Okay.
No. But anyway, he was saying that 98% of all bows or all arrows come off the string, spinning left.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd believe it.
Yeah.
I don't know how the string twist affects it. Now, I did have a string built for me one time that was spun, let's say, the opposite way it normally is. I'm not sure which way, whatever, but man, I couldn't get that thing to shoot. I could not get the thing to shoot. So I was so frustrated with it. I couldn't get it to group at 40 yards. Like, it was brutal. I put the old string back on. It was awesome. Done.
Is that right? Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. So and it makes a big difference having a set of strings on there, like a good quality set of strings.
Yeah.
Huge difference. Yeah. I mean, even all these factory strings that come now, they're pretty damn good. I mean, you think back, you even go back 10 years, and like just how far advanced not just the bows have come, but everything, like strings and like just our understanding of bow mechanics and all that stuff. So they've definitely come a long way from what they were. So they're, even the strings you get with the bow, if you were just to go down and buy a bow, I mean, you spend $2,000 on a bow for the average guy, right? I mean, by the time you get it set up, I mean, you're pushing $3,000. You don't have to feel that you have to put right first thing you do is you have to go get a new set of strings.
Yeah.
I don't think the average...
I do myself. I go get a brand new set of strings just so I know, like, that's the operational part of the bow, right? Like that string moving can change so much, especially when we're talking fixed blades and in a hunting situation. But it's also because I want to take that factory off, stick it in a baggie, and have that as I just cut my string back up set,
Yeah, and we've talked about that lots before, just having that extra set of strings, because I mean, if you're on a hunt or you're leaving the day before and you're just going out to shoot a couple arrows or something happens, and it's like, oh shit, you know what I mean? You don't
Yeah.
have time to get new strings made. It's definitely nice to have an extra set of strings
Yeah.
there for you.
Yeah, I got one
Fine.
that's peeps all tied in, ready to go.
Yeah.
I just got to throw it on. And basically the only thing that I would have to check, because I've got, the slider sight and this, a certain, shot tape and everything, is just to make sure the poundage is extremely close to where it was approximately, when it broke, when it got cut, whatever the deal is.
Yeah, and Pete, you're
totally
running
affect it.
You're running a limb driven rest too, so I mean you don't even have to worry. What kind of rest do you run, Jordan?
I run Hamskis pretty much exclusively. That's what I like.
I've got the Trinity. I got the Trinity on mine, and it's bulletproof.
That's the thing, is they are bulletproof, and I did some phoning around at shops once, and I asked them, I said, what is the most, I guess, returned rest? And I'm not going to name any names right now unless you guys really want me to, but the least returned rest was the Hamskis, like, for problems. And usually when they are returned and broken, it's user error.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's hard to break them.
Yeah. I love mine. And I think the other thing with the strings too is the average person probably isn't going to notice a huge amount, because the average person doesn't shoot as much as we do. So they're not going to see the stretch as quickly. And, like it might take somebody all summer to finally have their string stretched out. Shit.
It could take even longer than that. You think about it. I mean, it all depends how many arrows you're putting down range.
Yeah. And then you got to think of how many
getting out once a week.
Yeah. And we're shooting every day, like thousands and thousands and thousands of hours. I mean, even in the wintertime here, if it's warmer than -10 Celsius, I'm outside shooting. Hopefully after my reno, I'll be able to shoot downstairs. Not hopefully. I'm going to make sure I'm able to shoot in my basement. It doesn't matter to me if it's 8-10 yards. I don't care. It's all about reps and muscle memory. So when I get to go outside again and start shooting longer distances, everything is set, muscles are ready, and you just have that, everything's working well. It makes a big difference. But, saying that, your strings stretch a lot faster and you go through a lot of strings. Like my strings I went through a lot of sight tapes from where I started to where I finished this year. And I'm thinking I need another string already. And it was a brand new string this year. And it's like, even my servings on my cams are like, you can see the orange underneath the black and everything. And like everything is stretched.
Yeah.
So when you're running field tips, when you're doing your inserts, do you line your fixed blades? Do you run your fixed do you line your inserts up with your fixed blades before you glue them in?
No.
Or do you heat them up again and just spin them?
I don't use, that's one thing, is I will never ever use hot melt glue, ever. Never.
Gotcha.
Ever.
Use a 2-part.
2-part epoxy, or one glue that's been really good for me is gold tip grip. I know it's more of a fast setting glue, and people say there's issues with it cracking and stuff like that. I've never experienced that myself.
I use that 9-second glue, and it's the best glue I found, like for gluing your veins on. Fuck, man, is it golden? It is money. It's it's almost the point where it grabs too quick, because by the time you get your fingers off the vein, it's like I've had a couple times where I'm like, oh fuck, there goes that vein. It's garbage.
Yeah.
You ever glue your fingers together and had to cut them apart?
Oh yeah.
We're not gonna
I've fletched so many arrows, and I've done it where I've glued literally, like, just you get a little bit, once you get into, like, you're doing a dozen arrows and you're running 4 veins on each arrow. That's a lot of glue, and it's daunting. By the time you get to the ends, I've had it, and like, you don't notice a little bit of glue that builds up, and all of a sudden, you know how when you get glue on top of glue, it just dries that much faster. And so, like, you get a bit of glue on you, but then you just like rub it off real quick, but then you have it on your fingers already, and like you get a little tiny bit on there, then you grab the vein, and it's like, oh fuck. Yeah. So how do you line So how are you lining your fixed blade up, or are you putting your fixed blade in and then putting your vanes on to match your broadhead? Or are you not worrying about it altogether?
I don't worry about it altogether. Now,
Gotcha.
That being said, I will go through and screw fixed blades onto different arrows that I've confirmed fly with, or I've got them tuned for the broadheads. I do like them when they match up just because it looks nice, but it doesn't make any difference. And I've tested this out shooting fixed blades at 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Side by side, and I cannot make it make any difference whatsoever.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed anyway is that, like, even if you're gonna line it up, you have to keep that broadhead with that arrow all the time. You can't switch it out and switch arrows, because if you line a broadhead up to wherever you want it, or wherever you want it to be, or you think it should be, you unscrew it and you screw a different one in that's supposed to be the exact same broadhead, it's always a little different.
They're threaded
exactly. It's not threaded the exact same. Just the same way as like when I was weighing those broadheads, they're supposed to all be the same weight. They're not. It's like, frustrating.
Yeah. No, I've tried to weed out the minor details that don't matter so much, and focus on the things that I think matter.
Yeah. Do you get like really obsessive about it, or can you get really obsessive about it? I mean, like I was getting so bad with it, and then finally I was like, you know what? I just got to shoot some fucking arrows. Like I got to quit worrying about all this stuff, and I just got to put arrows down range. And like I'm not going to those 3D shoots. I mean, I definitely should go to more, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, my grouping's pretty good at 70, 80 yards, and I'm comfortable killing animals, at that distance. And I just got to get arrows downrange. I got to get arrows on the target to quit worrying about all this fussing. And instead of pulling my bow apart, let's just get some arrows downrange.
And I think a lot of the average person, most of it's not even going to be like, if you have a fairly well set up, you don't have to go through the nitty gritty with your arrow. It's going to be them. It's going to be their form. I'll guarantee you 90% of the time, it's going to be the shooter. You can have a relatively straight arrow. You can, especially take the broadhead off, even if you're just shooting 3D or whatever. It's going to be them missing here and there. And it's going to be form. It's going to be hand torque. And it's that stuff you got to work out, because it doesn't matter how nitpicky you are with your arrow. If you're still torquing your bow, you're still missing your spot. It doesn't matter. If you're punching your trigger, you got to work on that stuff first. And once you have that, if you want to call it mastered, or at least, you're doing, for the most part, the exact same thing every single time, or as close to it as possible, then I think that's when you start getting into being obsessive about your arrows and stuff like that. And you can break that down, because I could take your arrow that you've built for me that's absolutely perfect, but if I got shit form, I'm not going to hit anything with it.
Or just inconsistent form.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just inconsistent. So work on your form first. And then once you start, getting those groups together, it's like, okay, now how can I get to that next step? And the next step is, knowing your equipment and, making it precise. A lot of people who get their arrows pre-cut, maybe they don't have an arrow cutter or anything like that, but once you get into it, those labels, they're just stickers. They mean nothing. Like when all you care about is hitting that 14 circle, hitting that money spot with your broadhead, all you care about is straightness. You don't care about the stickers. I mean, it looks cool in a photo and it looks nice in your quiver and all that. That's all it is. I don't care if I cut, all off the ass end of it. Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
For a photo, it might. I might actually swap the arrow out for a photo, but that's all it's there for. The rest of it, when those shooting arrows, like they're straight as hell when I cut them. I don't care what end it gets cut. Like you say, both ends, doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, if they get too wonky for me, I peel the labels right off. Truthfully, I'm not even lying to you. I can't look at them all zigzaggy in my quiver. Drives me nuts. Yeah, put a little chemical on there, strip them right off. See you later.
Yeah, a little paint thinner.
Yeah,
peel it right off.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, right on, buddy. yeah, I think we'll wrap it up. Hey, Pete, we kind of covered what we wanted to talk about. We wanted to get into the nitty gritty about arrows and just being fanatical and all that stuff, and kind of what makes you a great shooter. Got anything to add there, Pete?
No, it's nice. It's always nice hearing and talking to somebody who's, going through the process of, where you started out. We all started out the same place, and how you kind of recognize what you need to do and all the practice, and then, getting into it. And for a lot of people, don't be scared. Like this arrow building thing is, it's just being consistent with stuff and just learning it. It's actually not that hard. And once you start getting into it, you'll never get another person or another shop to do your arrows again. And it's really not that bad, but it makes a world of difference once you get into it.
And I think understanding your gear makes a big difference in your, once you get into shooting enough arrows, you're going to be able to tell instantly if you shot a bad arrow before. By the time, as soon as that arrow leaves the string, you're going to be able to tell if it's a bad shot, right? You don't even have to go down range to look at it. So, I mean, but I mean, the biggest thing is just go out, shoot arrows, and have fun.
Yeah. I will say, though,
I forgot to ask you about when did you start shooting? Like, how long you been shooting for?
Shooting bows probably about 10 years, and only competitively like the last couple of years, really.
Is that right?
My first ever 3D shoot I did was before COVID happened, and then there was 2 years of no 3D shoots, and then came back, and I put a lot of time into my bow and kind of went there and just put the hyper focus mode on and started doing okay.
And
I can think of one specific shoot that I think you should come to in July.
Oh yeah,
good old Bighorn in Radium. Bring the family down, and it's a world of fun. We put it on here. Awesome. It's quite the shoot. It's everything. We have it set up so we make sure that the kids are going to have fun, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And there's some
now is it like target bow style stuff, or is it mostly hunting bows?
It's whatever you want. We have every category.
Okay.
And we make sure that it's set up so that people with, who are traditional, all that kind of stuff, that everything's set up so that they can have a good shot too.
See, Pete goes out. He goes out. He sets up the range and he shoots He shoots it about for a few weeks before anybody else. So
I had nothing to do with that setup. I had nothing to do with it. You saw it as much as I did.
He practices with the orange stickers on the 12s, eh?
Yeah. It's all right. You still got more meat in the freezer than I do. It doesn't really matter how much good foam I hit. But yeah, a lot of our shots there at that. They're for the hunting setups, like for the hunting pins and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you're going to be like, oh, I've definitely been in this position before. Like there's a lot of fun shots.
I'm bringing two bows this year too. So my bow had I had issues with my bow last year, and I'm still, I don't know. I think maybe I left my bow outside Pete's trailer when I was having a coffee or something, and something funny happened to it. So
got kicked. You hear that thump?
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, we'll wrap it up. Thanks again, Jordan. I'll put your information to you and to where guys can follow you and all that stuff up in the notes. And I'll also, you mentioned a couple of things there. One Target 2 and the other ones there too. I'll put the links up to those in the show notes. And it's been good chatting, buddy.
Sounds good. Before we wrap up, I just got to say, for those of you listening today, don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone and really learn your bow and start diving down the rabbit hole, because you're going to find your process and your system that's going to make it. Every time you get a bow, you're going to just set it up the same way or very similar, and it's just going to come together, and you're going to be way less frustrated.
That's 100%. And your equipment too. It makes, like I said, it makes such a difference, just because, sometimes things happen to these bows. I mean, just, somewhere along the line, something happens, it gets bumped, moved, twisted, or, anything. And if you understand your equipment perfectly, you're going to save yourself a lot of frustration. Cause I've met guys and I've helped guys that, they've had instances where the bow got bumped and they've, had a bent cam. They, all of a sudden they just started shooting bad, and then they start second guessing themselves. And it's just like, understanding your equipment definitely can save you. You know, it'll make you a better shooter, but it could also just save you a lot of agony and frustration.
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay, guys, we'll talk to you later.
Chat with you later.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Friends of NRA is your chance to support our Second Amendment rights and preserve America's hunting traditions. Join Friends of NRA at one of our 600 exciting events nationwide. From games to auctions and exclusive firearms, Friends of NRA events are your chance to support a cause you care about while having a great time with patriots in your community. Whether you're a seasoned shooter, an avid hunter or outdoorsman, or passionate about freedom, there's a place for you within Friends of NRA. Visit friendsofnra.org to find an event near you. Stand up for freedom with the Friends of NRA.
A life that has the stories to back it. A life to be proud of. It's a Winchester life.
Yeah, baby. 6'8" Western. Oh, mule deer, baby, right there.
Tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV.